All right, let's jump into another deep dive. This time it's Arsenal's Champions League match against Shakhtar Donetsk. You guys sent in some really interesting player ratings, and get this. One player even tried a move I haven't seen since, like the Santi Cazorla days. Remember those? So we'll be breaking down those standout performances, maybe some confusing moments, and of course what this means for the Gunners going into their match with Liverpool.
Yeah, it's really cool that we're not just looking at the scores just by themselves, but we can piece together the story of the whole match and see how each player's performance affected Arsenal's game plan and, well, how well they played.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with defense. Raya, Saliba, and Gabriel were awesome, especially Gabriel. Had some really important blocks, saved the day a few times. White got a yellow card, though, and was subbed out at halftime. What did you think about that?
Well, if you want to win, you have to have a really strong defense, especially with a big match against Liverpool coming up. Makes you wonder how Saliba being out will affect that game. I mean, he's so important to their defense.
For sure. And then there's Calafiore. He had a good first half, I think, but things got a little rough after the break, and then he got injured. Hopefully it's not too bad.
I agree, and that injury just makes things more complicated for the defense, especially since Saliba is already out.
Totally. Let's move to the midfield. Partey and Rice, as always, were reliable. But it wasn't their best game. What did you notice?
Well, even the best players in the world have games where they're not as noticeable. It happens. But it makes you think about how much Arsenal depends on Partey and Rice to kind of control the whole game. Can they play their best if those two aren't at their best?
That's a really good question. And speaking of not being at their best, what about Trossard? It was a tough night for him. Just couldn't find his groove.
Yeah.
Even missed a penalty.
Yeah, it was a big difference compared to Martinelli, who was everywhere on the pitch, really looked like he was getting better. Could this be like a turning point for them? Will this affect who gets to start in the next game? Trossard and Martinelli are often playing similar roles, so this game might really change Arteta's mind about the lineup.
Yeah, definitely something to watch. Okay, now on to Jesus. You can tell he's working hard, really giving it his all, but he's just not scoring goals. I know some fans are upset, but you have to feel for a striker in this situation. I mean, last season he was amazing. What do you think is different now?
It's got to be frustrating for him and for the fans, too. Makes you wonder how not scoring affects you mentally. How do you get that confidence back, that feeling that you just know you'll score? It's a mental game, too. People forget about that.
That's so true. It's easy to just focus on the physical skills, but the mental side is just as important. Havertz also had a quiet game, but it didn't seem like he was getting many chances to really show what he can do. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he didn't really get a lot of good chances, did he? But that's where the midfield and the attack working together is so important. Was he not getting good passes, or was he not making the right runs? It's something to keep an eye on in the next few games.
Now let's talk about the substitutions. Marino didn't really stand out too much, but Lewis Skelly looked really good, especially for a young player making his Champions League debut. And Sterling definitely brought some energy when he came on. It's interesting to see how managers use substitutions to change how the game is going.
Yeah, it's like a chess game. Arteta brought on Jorginho pretty late in the game, probably for tactical reasons. What do you think he was trying to do?
Yeah. Jorginho is very experienced and stays calm under pressure, so it seemed like you want to make sure the defense stayed strong and maybe help Arsenal keep the ball more. But you said it was tactical. Could there be more to it than that?
Oh, there's always more to it with Arteta. Was he trying to mess with Shakhtar? Like maybe slow down their attacks and make them play in a way he could predict? Or maybe he just wanted to control the speed of the game and make sure they won. It's worth thinking about.
It is. Okay, so looking at everything together, we have a great defensive performance, some questions about the midfield, and then there's what's happening with the strikers. This is all leading up to a really interesting match against Liverpool. What are your main takeaways from all this?
Well, the biggest question is definitely what happens without Saliba against Liverpool. Can they keep up that strong defense without him? We saw how important he was against Shakhtar. And then there's what's going on with the strikers. Jesus, not scoring goals is a worry, especially going up against a team like Liverpool.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if Arteta might start Nketiah or even give Balogun a shot. He's been doing really well while on loan, but Arteta has shown he's loyal to his players before.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so interesting. He has choices to make, and each one has good and bad things about it. It all depends on how he wants to play against Liverpool.
I think that's a really good idea. Keep everyone ready to play and feeling like they're part of the team. It also gives them a chance to show what they can do and maybe even earn a starting spot. What about the striker situation? Jesus is clearly in a slump right now. Do you think Arteta will stick with him or try someone else like Nketiah or even Balogun?
That's the big question, isn't it? Jesus has the experience and the skill, but he's just not scoring. Nketiah's shown he can do it. And then there's Beloga, who's been on fire during his loan. It's a tough choice for Arteta. What do you think he should do?
Honestly, I don't know. Part of me wants to give Jesus another chance to find his form, but you also don't want to lose points while he's trying to figure things out. Nketiah and Balogun both want to play,
Yeah.
and they could bring something different to the attacks.
It's a good problem to have, actually. It shows how much depth and quality there is in this squad. And it just shows how important Arteta's decisions are. Who starts? Who comes off the bench? It can all change the outcome of a match.
Speaking of impact, we didn't really talk about the substitutes much. Sterling brought some energy when he came on, and Jorginho helped calm things down in the midfield.
Yeah.
What about young Lewis Skelly? Pretty good for his first Champions League game, right?
Totally. He looked confident and comfortable with the ball. It's great to see those academy players get a chance to play with the main team. It's a good sign for the future of the club.
It really is.
Hmm.
It shows that Arsenal are building something special, for now and for the future. But you mentioned it before, the Premier League is a long season. You have to be consistent. Can they keep playing this well all season? What are the biggest challenges they'll face?
Well, they need to stay healthy. We've already seen how much Saliba's absence affects the defense. And with so many games coming up, players might get tired. But I think the hardest thing will be staying hungry. You know, that drive to keep getting better. It's easy to get comfortable when things are going well.
You're right. It's all about staying focused and taking each game as it comes, avoiding those mental slumps and getting through the tough times. And we can't forget about the other teams. The Premier League is full of great teams, all trying to finish in first place.
Exactly. Every week is a new challenge. That's what makes it so exciting. It's a constant battle, a test of skill, tactics, and mental strength.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about Arsenal. They're playing really fun, attacking football, and they have a manager who seems to know how to get the most out of his players. But there's still a lot of football to be played this season.
That's what's so great about it. We get to watch it all unfold, the ups and downs, the moments of brilliance, and all the unexpected surprises.
Exactly. And with that, I'm going to leave you with one last thought. Remember that Santi Cazorla-like magic I mentioned at the beginning? Well, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but pay attention to it when you watch the highlights again. It just reminds us that even when it's all about tactics, there's always room for amazing individual skill, those moments that make us love this beautiful game. So until next time, keep watching those deep dives. And I hope your football journey is full of passion, excitement, and maybe even a few surprises.